Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. This is our Game 2 recap of the 2025 NBA Finals, and we have our boy Jerry joining us to talk about the Thunder's big time win. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, bro? I'm
Everything good,
doing
man?
good.
Excited to have you on, man. And yeah, guys, like I said, the Thunder, after a heartbreaking defeat in Game 1, they're able to bounce back in Game 2. They pick up a 123 to 107 win. But yeah, Jerry, so guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna each give a couple of takeaways. So if you want, Jerry, you could start off, man, with one of your key takeaways from this game.
Yeah, well, one of my key takeaways from this game would be that OKC kept putting the pressure on Indiana and kept forcing them to commit a lot of turnovers. And they also forced them into taking a lot of bad shots. I saw that Indiana was like, they've been doing this a lot recently. They've been shooting a lot of like threes. Even a lot of the times it would go in, but I felt like even if it's not going in, they'll keep shooting them, which I mean, they have the players to keep shooting, but I do think there are times where you do have to be a little bit more aggressive and go inside the paint and draw a foul, slow the game down a little bit, or, or force a turnover yourself and then just go out in transition and you know get a bucket that way. But I felt I felt like Indiana this game, they were kind of looking for that comeback the whole time. It's like, yeah, you can do that a lot. Like you can do that, like you can do it, but it's like you don't want to do it every single game either. Especially not against this team like OKC who does not really stop. Maybe Indiana's relentless coming back, but OKC's relentless just finishing off games usually. Yeah, it was like basically like the tale of two different ways of winning, if you want to call it that way. You have one team that comes back from behind and one team that blows everyone out, which is pretty nice. It's gonna make for like an interesting rest of the finals. It's already interesting enough as it is. Another one of my key takeaways was I thought Halliburton wasn't aggressive early enough. I thought he was aggressive in the fourth quarter, which is good. You always want your best players to be aggressive in the fourth quarter. But at that point, they were already down like 20 points, and OKC wasn't letting up at that point. So, although I do think it's good to be aggressive late, I do think it's good to be aggressive early as well. So I think for the next game, he will have to get more aggressive early on. And another key takeaway was how Shea Gilgeous-Alexander played. I mean, it wasn't a takeaway from the game. This is just like my own analysis. I noticed that Shea can really beat you in so many different ways. He can beat you inside, outside, in the perimeter, in the mid range too. Something that's not exactly died off yet. You would think it's died off, but every year in the playoffs, I kind of see that the three-level scorers are typically the ones that win you the championships. So I found it really good to see that Shea's like a three-level scorer. Unless you want to call getting to the free throw line the fourth level. Some people will say that as well. I thought he was very good. I thought he was also a really good facilitator for the team.
Nah, bro, those are all great takeaways, and yeah, a couple of takeaways that I had from this game. One of them, I was gonna wait till the end, but I'm just gonna start off with it. I feel like what Indiana did to the Thunder in Game 1 is basically what the Thunder did to Indiana today. Like early in the first quarter, the Thunder defense is always right. It was like friggin' incredible. Indiana's was actually good too. And then the Thunder though, like their offense was kind of like shaking, and Indiana was kind of shaky, right? But the Thunder defense was so good that they're able to really, have control of the lead. And then in the second quarter, that's really when the Thunder offense took off. And ultimately, they're able to finish the final three quarters in like a dominating fashion. And I feel like that's kind of what happened a little bit in Game 1, where it was like early on, it was like, the Thunder were pretty much up, but then it was like close. Indiana would stay in. Indiana was able to like, stay in because of their defense. Like their offense didn't really take off till like midway in the third. So yeah, I just felt like, I don't know, you could kind of compare the first two games in the way. And then another takeaway, I actually loved what you were saying, how basically, yeah, Indiana's the best team at making comebacks, and then the Thunder have been the best team at dominating. And like you said it perfectly, because these first two games have been that. Like the first one was the classic, Indiana comeback, and then this one was a classic like dominating win for the Thunder. So I thought you said that one like perfectly, 'cause that's kind of how the series has been. And that's how I expect it going forward. Because like I just feel these two teams are they just play basketball the right way. They keep on fighting. You don't really see them complaining. They're just all about the basketball. And it starts with the coaching as well. I feel like both coaching staffs have done like an amazing job throughout the season and now in the finals as well. And yeah, my third takeaway, it's kind of, I don't know if it's specifically a takeaway, but I'm like intrigued to see the coaching battle going forward. That's been my favorite part of the whole series. That's what I was most excited about. And I feel like in both games, like Mark Daigneault from the Thunder, he's done a great job. And then Rick Carlisle in game one, it was basically like a masterpiece. Like, you know, he was able to lead Indiana to that comeback in a way. And then in this game specifically, I feel like Carlisle's defensive strategy worked perfectly. It was just ultimately they couldn't really get it going on offense. So yeah, I don't know if that's really like a quote unquote takeaway, but I'm just like very much intrigued to see the game plan for both coaches like in game three. Now we're gonna move on and we're gonna each give like some strategies or some tips, right, for both teams and what we think they should do to win game three. So Jerry, you can start it off if you want.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback off of what you were saying, like how like OKC's offense was like kind of struggling around like at times. You know, both teams' defenses have been really good. You know, we can't really like talk about their defense, but I think their OKC's offense specifically, I feel like it's good. I feel like everyone's like doing their job, but I do think it's a little bit stagnant. It does remind me a little bit of like that Mike D'Antoni Houston Rockets team with like Harden and all those other guys where
Yeah.
you know everyone's playing good, everyone's doing their role, but I do think it's a little bit too stagnant. I think I do think they're a little bit predictable, and then they run a lot of pick and rolls, and it's basically just Shea do come off a pick and roll and make something happen.
Yeah,
Kind of
and
like
everyone
how
else get out of the way.
yeah, and then how like same way was with like kind of Harden, you know, or D'Antonio, Harden. You know, we're gonna run a pick and roll with you, and then you kind of make something happen.
Yeah,
In a way, I don't think it's too much. I don't think it's as bad as those Mike D'Antoni Rockets, but I do think it's a little bit of a concern. The only difference is this team actually plays defense, so they might be all right. But I do think they are gonna have to find another guy who will take some ball handling responsibilities or just move the ball around a little bit more. Yeah, other than that, I don't see it as the biggest problem in the world, but I do think it's a small concern. Ultimately, I think their game plan has been great. You know, they forced Indiana into a lot of turnovers, into a lot of bad shots, and they've basically held Halliburton this whole series or these first two games. And yeah, I mean, I think that's like pretty much it. You know, as long as they can kind of like clean up a couple of stuff on the offense, get either J Dub or Alex Caruso to kind of take more of the ball handling responsibilities off Shea. That's another thing. You know, Shea has been fantastic. I think I already said it, but I do think he has a little bit too much responsibility. Even though the other guys have been playing well too. You know, it does ultimately run through Shea mostly, even if the other guys are contributing as well. I'm not saying they're not contributing at all, but you do want them to take a different. You do want to take some of the pressure off of your star player.
for sure, man. No, honestly, I'm so glad you brought that up. I feel like that's like a really big. That's gonna be a big factor in determining how the series like ultimately like finishes, man. Because I totally agree. Like literally, like I talked about in our game one recap. Basically, like the Thunder offense in game one, it was like I was never fully impressed, and it showed like all the turnovers they were causing. They never really got like that big lead that you really should get, right? Causing all those turnovers, and like it just kind of felt like it was like, oh, I'm just kind of watching Shea. Okay, like he put up 33, I think it was, but like I remember even looking at his attempts, and it was like, okay, like he had a good game. But like you're not gonna just win with one guy scoring. Obviously, I know people will be like, no, tonight, look what they did. But I do agree with you though that they still do need like some improvement. They definitely need another guy that can handle the ball, drive it in, kind of take command. One guy I do want to shout out though. In game one, he had his moments, but today I think he shined even more. And that's Aaron Wiggins. Like off the bench, like he really impressed me. I feel like he was one of the lead catalysts. Like alongside Shea, like obviously the whole team basically was making shots by the end of it. It was one of those games where everyone was just hot by the end, but I feel like Aaron Wiggins, man, he was one of the lead catalysts, and you could argue that he was like the second or third like leading engine of the offense, behind Shea. Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Wiggins, man, but he impressed me.
Yeah, no, he had a really big game today. He played well on both sides of the floor. He was hitting his shots. I was like really impressed with him. Now for Indiana, I do think they're the ones who really have to make the adjustments because although they played well at the end of last game, most of the game they weren't playing that well. And for this game, they didn't play well at all. And I would say defensively, I kind of want to start off defensively because like they haven't been able to stop Shea at all. And since most of the offense runs through Shea, you're gonna want to force the ball out of his hands. I would say what they were doing in the other series with Brunson, and Donovan Mitchell.
Okay, yeah,
They were blitzing him off the pick and roll and double teaming him and forcing him like way out. If you can do that with Shea and then force the ball into someone else's hand, maybe you force it into J Dub's hand, Lou Dort, Chet, whoever, then you're basically putting the pressure on the second or third guy to kind of make a play and see if you're basically forcing the other guys to beat you. I think they could, but the last thing you want is the MVP coming at you, trying to, just basically scoring at will, where getting whatever shot he wants, getting to whatever spot he wants. That's not really what you want, because of how good he is. I do think Williams is also really good. I do think Holmgren, Lou Dort, all those guys are good, but I don't think they're the kind of guys that I just said they would beat you, but they could beat you, but I don't think they will beat you if you make them your primary ball. If you force the ball, you force them to make a play. I don't think they will beat you. But I think if you could force Shea maybe into, let's say, 25, maybe more or less, maybe 20, 25 instead of 35, I do think obviously you will have a much better chance, but I do think it will go a long way. And instead of him getting 6 assists, or eight assists, I think he had tonight, right? 7 or 8 assists. You
yeah.
force him into maybe 6. So maybe he finishes the night with 23-6 or 25-6 even. That's a lot. Your chances are go up a lot just by doing that instead of having 35-8. So I would say, like I said, just force the ball out of his hand, blitz him, double him, just make him uncomfortable. Be a little physical with him if you have to. Just don't let him get within the 3-point line and do not let him operate within that area because as soon as he crosses the 3-point line without a body on him, then you're kind of in trouble. And the next game plan, I would say, or the next thing I would have to say for Indiana is to go back to playing that fast-paced offense that they were doing. Obviously, you don't want to commit all those turnovers, but I do think they kind of slowed down a lot as soon as OKC was able to figure them out defensively and just keep playing, just keep that intensity up and just be more aggressive. Specifically, Haliburton and Pascal Siakam. I know Pascal had like 15, but he was shooting like 3 for 11. I
Yeah.
don't think that's gonna be good enough. That's not gonna be good enough going forward. I don't think Haliburton, um, waiting until the fourth quarter to be aggressive is going to be good enough either. I do think he should still be a facilitator because I do think he is a pass first point guard, but he does have that ability to score, and I think he is going to have to get his own bucket early on, and then that's going to eventually open up for the rest of his team. That's when he's going to be able to push the break, set the tone, and be a facility, be the true point guard he can be. But he has to be aggressive early. That way he can facilitate later on.
100%, man. Now, yeah, to piggyback really quick on some of those stats, like, yeah, with Halliburton, man, specifically, I agree. Like, I love that, he's a fast pass first. I'm sorry, that was like a tongue twister. Pass first point guard, and I love that he's like true to his game always. But at the end of the day, like you said, he has the ability, and we've seen him make like big shot after big shot already. And it's kind of like, hey, why does he keep waiting to the fourth? And don't get me wrong, ultimately, of course, right? It's a team game. We all know that. But at the end of the day, we could all say that it's a team game. But where they're at right now, a chance to be the champions of the basketball world is like it's now or never. It's do or die. It's never guaranteed that you're gonna be back in this position ever again in your career, and I just feel you gotta really take advantage of it. And even me saying that, I'm not like, I know you or me, we're not trying to criticize Halliburton or whatever. We just believe in him, and yeah, I just feel like ultimately, if Indiana really wants to win the series, he's gonna have to step it up, like with the aggressiveness, like shooting wise, and yeah, defensively as well. I like some, the things you're talking about for Indiana too, and I totally agree that it starts with Haliburton and Siakam. Yeah, even Siakam, I talked about it in the game one recap. Like, last game he was able to kind of get a couple of shots there in the fourth, but even last game, when you really look at his game as a whole on offense, it wasn't anything like special, or it wasn't at the level where we've seen him play. And you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and what he did against the Knicks, and he literally had a 7-foot guy on him there, with Karl Anthony Towns, and he dominated him. So we know the type of player Siakam is, and we saw him do it at a young age with the Raptors in the finals, and he had an incredible run there with Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry in that team. So we just know how good Siakam and Haliburton are, and ultimately, yeah, I just feel they're not rising to the occasion yet. But with that said, it's just Indiana as a whole. They're so resilient, and like, I don't know, at certain points you kind of just feel like they're gonna figure it out. And like, we talked about coaching already, but even Rick Carlisle, man, like, this guy's a genius. He's been coaching for what, like 20 years, basically a little over 20 years, and he's been in so many big time games. He knows that he's one of the best at adjusting. I would put him next to like Spo. And I feel like he's one of those guys like Spo that knows how to adjust. Like, they never panic, and that's what makes him a championship coach and one of the rare elite coaches in the league at the end of the day. And I feel like that experience that he has could pay off in a big time way. And yeah, for the Thunder too, I'm with you. Their game plan, I feel like to this point, has been perfect. Like you said, last game, like, if you want to say, oh, they choked, okay, but like, it was, I just feel it was just like an impressive comeback from Indiana. I just feel like the team with a couple more veterans ultimately came back, and the younger team, ultimately didn't like finish the job. But today, that's another thing, man, with the Thunder. Sorry, time and time again, you think of how young they are, and like their resiliency is something that never gets brought up. But like, when do you ever see a group full of, like, a team full of young guys, like, be able to just like mentally clear out what just happened, learn from their mistakes right away? And I've talked about it multiple times. It starts with Shea too. Like, at 26 years old, I feel like he's one of the best leaders in the league. And my favorite part about him is that everything is done through action on the court. You never see him talking. You never see him like mad or whining, complaining. And I just feel he's like it's perfect to have a calm, cool, and collective leader. Like, it's kind of like a Curry, or I brought it up last episode. Like, I kind of compare him to like a young Wade in a way too. When you think of Wade so early in his career, with Shaq leading a team to the finals, and Wade throughout his whole career till he finished. If you pissed him off, he would like show it on the court. He was just all about basketball, and I just feel that's the leadership of Shea is incredible. But yeah, those are just a couple of things I wanted to say, man.
And no, I agree with everything you said. I really love Shea's game. Today is really like when I've noticed like over the years, like, his game is kind of like evolved. But today I really like saw it, like, for the completeness that it was, and not only like just on the court, but also like the mental side of the game as well, like how you mentioned. And yeah, no, like, I've really been impressed. It really does like stick out now that, like, wow, this guy's like really one of the best players in the league. So it's definitely exciting to see.
Jerry, thanks for joining us. And yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed this Game 2 recap of the 2025 NBA Finals. Thunder pick up a 123-107 win to tie the series. Now things head to Indianapolis. First time hosting a finals game in 20 years. So, I know it's going to be amazing, man, for the people of Indiana and all the fans over there. So I hope they all enjoy it. But yeah, Game 3 will be Wednesday night at 8:30 on ABC. So make sure to tune into that. And yeah, guys, make sure to keep it locked in here to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. We'll continue to cover the finals on here as long as the series, keeps on going on. And it's been a great series so far. But yeah, keep it locked in on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Keep up with us on social media, on Instagram and TikTok at the Flame_ES. Yeah, again, Jerry, thanks for coming on the show, bro.
Thanks for having me on.
For sure, man. Now, it was great to hear all your insights on this game, man. And yeah, guys, till next time, everyone, take care.